Good morning. I want to share an experience I had yesterday in Australia. Because it hurt. But it didn't necessarily hurt me, but it hurt knowing that this done to other people could result in their death. So I went swimming at a famous swimming hole south of Cairns. It starts with a B. There's a bunch of big boulders. I can't remember the name of it right now. But it was the first time I was able to go swimming, and my friend texted me, like, watch out for, crocodiles and sharks in the rivers. So I figured since this was a famous swimming hole, it should be fine. So I got my car and I drove there and, didn't research it at all, because I've just been asking locals, like, what to do when I arrive places. And I saw a bunch of people walking down this path, so I followed them, and a bunch of people were getting ready to go into the river, and there was people already swimming in the river, and so I just jumped right in, and it was beautiful. Like, turquoise waters, little bit of overcast, so it wasn't too warm, but like the water temperature to me was absolutely perfect. And I just swam with the current, and I really enjoyed myself. And I started talking to this guy, and this guy was, talking about how beautiful it all is, and it was a really nice conversation. And he told me if I wanted to get away from the tourists that I could swim down this little river. And I'm like, well, I am a tourist, what is this? And I was kind of hesitant, and I was like, well, what do I need to watch out for? And he's like, well, the bull sharks have ate all the crocodiles, so you don't have to worry about them. And he's like, no, I'm just kidding. There's no sharks or crocodiles here. He's like, it's safe to swim. He's like, just go down this little river, and you can float down the whole way down, and then you'll pop out 100 meters down, and then you can just come back up. You can either swim upstream or walk upstream. And it's like absolutely beautiful. So I thought about it, and I was like, oh, okay, maybe. And then he started selling it even more. He's like, do you have goggles? Because if you have goggles, like, there's little turtles on the edges of the banks that you can look for. I'm like, well, I don't have goggles. Like, that's cool. And then he's like, and there's also gold in the river. And I'm like, yeah, there's gold everywhere. Like, I find gold everywhere. And maybe I'll touch on that later. Anyway, so I swim upstream, and I float down with the current again, and I pass him, and I look him in the eyes, and I'm like, I trust you. And he's like, yeah, go ahead, float on your belly. So I flip over, and I start floating on my belly, and I start going down this little side river. And it was gorgeous. Jungle, vines, all hanging down, turquoise waters. I was completely by myself. And then I started realizing it was getting kind of shallow, so I really couldn't quite float the whole way down. And so, but I know how to avoid rocks, so I was going around them. And then it kind of opened up into a deeper section. It was absolutely amazing. And so I kept swimming downstream, and just getting further and further and further. And I could see some people watching me upstream, but I didn't really think much of it. A lot of people overheard that conversation, but no one said anything. As I got down to a section where I was like, oh, I can't float down this. Like, there's some big rocks and some drops. I went along the riverbank, and I'm like, ooh, I really don't know nature here. And my one friend from the States told me about some bush that I needed to watch out for. So I was like, okay, like stay out of the woods a little bit. And this vine grabbed me and ripped my bathing suit open. I had my bathing suit sleeves. And I just like picked it up and pushed it away. I was like, okay, whatever. And I kept going down because I wanted to see where this ended, because he said I could just pop back out the end and then come back out. And as I made it to the end of the river, it was an absolutely deadly waterfall. Like, there was no way around this thing. Luckily, there was a bunch of big boulders where it would have been dumb to even get that far, but, naive little me also thought, well, he told me I could pop out the other side. Maybe I should walk through the jungle, forest, tropics, whatever they're called here. Rainforest. But because of the bush comment from my one friend, I decided not to. And I just worked my way back upriver, barefoot. But I'm no stranger to walking on rocks in the river. I have a lot of experience with that. I'm a really strong swimmer too. As I started walking back upstream, I started to realize that he was playing a trick on me. And it was quite a deadly trick. But, water off the back, like, what did it really cause, right? I had to exercise a little bit more, and I got to swim in, like, an absolutely gorgeous part of a stream all by myself. When I got back upstream to where everyone was swimming, there was probably, like, 30 people there. Everyone was gone. Everyone was gone. Everyone cleared out. And I was like, that's so strange. So I swam across the river, got out, and like started exploring a little bit, and I saw a guy cleaning the bathrooms, and I was really curious if this was truly a trick this guy was playing on me. So I asked him, like, hey, I just swam down this way, was I supposed to do this thing? And he's like, oh, I haven't been here in 20 years, I don't really know, I'm sorry. And I also asked him what I should watch out for, and he's like, yeah, the stinging nettle, the bushes here. And he told me about how, like, people get their throats cut open from this bush, and the pain is unbearable. And then he told me that he had a neighbor growing up, an 8-year-old girl, who fell into a bush and died because of how deadly this plant was. And God, my heart just really hurt over that. And so, carried on. I was unscathed. I asked him about the vine thing. He's like, no, that's something else. That's not the poisonous one. He's like, you'd know if you touched the poisonous one. So I started walking around a little bit, and I came up to where actually the boulders actually were, because I was downstream from the boulders. And I saw 2 of the guys that were swimming where I was swimming earlier, and I heard a little comment of, oh, the simpleton is here. And I'm like, I was just thinking about it, and it's like, okay, I told this guy, I said out loud in front of a bunch of people, I'm a tourist, I don't know what I'm doing, what do I need to watch out for? He led me astray. And I got called naive over it. But, like, if you gave someone a bottle of poison that wasn't labeled and they died in front of you, would you laugh and be like, haha, idiot? Like, at some point you need to look at your own reflection. So, water off the back, I really, really enjoyed my experience there otherwise, and sang a little bit and drove away, and I've been chewing on it for a while now, and I was talking to my Uber driver about it, and I told him where I was and what happened, and he was absolutely irate. And he's like, people die there all the time. And I started thinking, I'm like, do people die there all the time because they're just not strong swimmers? Or people die there all the time because there's these people and whispering to the naive ones, the lambs, and then they send them off to the slaughter. We just need to do better for each other. We really do. I slept well last night. I hope you did too.